Welcome to the Tamia and Tamika Show. Today we're talking about emotional eating. Do you know the difference between emotional and physical eating? If you don't, there's a big difference, and we're here to let you know. First, emotional eating is when you're sad, when you're happy, when you're angry, when you're bored, when you're lonely, and you just want to pick up something to eat just to fulfill that satisfaction. Physical is when your stomach is actually telling you, hey, I'm hungry. Feed me. That's the difference. Do you have anything to add with that, Tamia?
Yeah, and also emotional eating. I know a lot of people think of it as negative, but it's also positive. You can also have a happy emotional moment or a negative emotional moment. And basically, it is a sudden urge to eat immediately thereafter or shortly thereafter
Right.
an incident has happened, either something that you enjoyed or something that you disliked, whatever the incident is. And if you have a sudden urge to eat thereafter because of that, that's emotional eating. Physical, like Tabitha said, is like if your stomach is growling, and it's kind of like it's not sudden, it's gradually, like a couple hours roll by after breakfast or what have you. And let's say you skip lunch, you work through lunch. A lot of people do business lunches and they just work right through their lunch. And it comes to evening time, and all of a sudden you get hunger pains. That's actually hunger, okay?
Right.
So that's the difference.
Well, there are ways to curb this. I have a few tips of my own. Some of the tips I have, prevent you from overeating. When you actually feel your stomach tightening, go ahead and just throw that the rest of it away. You don't have to. And if you have pets, let me tell you something. Pets don't let you eat anything anyways. So if you have pets, then you're like, okay, they'll snatch it off the table, or if they're not trained, they'll snatch it off the table. So that also helps as well.
Are you going to use the pets as a buffer?
Yes, you could use the pets as a buffer. Use them, okay? And also, if you go over somebody's house and they have like junk food and stuff like that, things that you like to eat, just don't visit them as much. To prevent you from falling fate of overeating. Also, portion control. Use a saucer. I know you guys know what a saucer is. Some of you don't. It's that little plate that you use. So you just put all your food on that or whatever, and what will end up happening is it'll allow your stomach to decrease. So to only fit that, because if you eat after a while, if you eat over that, you're gonna get sick. So instead of this big plate where you need all this, no, just eat a saucer. You know what I'm saying, and that will help you curb your appetite.
So that will help, like when you are talking about emotional eating, that will help with portion control.
Mm-hmm.
Is when you have an incident and you have a urge to eat. We're talking about emotional eating now. And you eat a whole bag of chips, a whole pint of ice cream, a whole cheesecake. I've done that. Okay?
I haven't.
I have. Okay. So if you have that urge and your stomach start tightening and you still are eating,
Mm-hmm.
it's a problem, boo.
It really
like
is.
Tamika said, you probably just need to get a little saucer and just try to, stick to that saucer, boo.
Yes. Because what you'll regret it later. You'll be like, oh my goodness, I just can't believe, when you come out of that delusion, or staying out of you wake up, you're like, I just can't believe I just ate all of this. And then you're like making yourself feel bad. But then again, listen, just go work out, or if you eat something, drink dieters tea after that, like California dieters tea. So yeah, granted, your stomach, it'll make you go to the bathroom, but at least you'll be eliminating those toxins.
Yeah, and then also keep in mind though, once you eliminate everything, don't go back. I know maybe you need to seek counseling or therapy or what have you. It may be a deeper issue as to why, because when you eliminate, some people with emotional eating, they go back, they say, oh, I have room to fill it up again.
Right.
So the whole point is to, keep that intact and make sure you have that under control, and just don't overeat and then dump out, eliminate to eat again.
Right, exactly. You don't want to do that. That's pretty much, you just wasted a whole bunch of time and, going back and forth to the bathroom for no reason. And then, if you want to try interval training, you want to like at least do 3. I understand that when you get to your second one, you're done. But you got to have mind over matter. So just push through that third one because, it's just almost like having a baby. It's going to come anyways. Mm-hmm.
And then also with emotional eating, think about this. It's just something about stopping and evaluating what you're doing. You have to identify it. That's the first step. Identify that you actually have a problem. If you also find, emotional eating is a sudden urge to eat right after an incident or shortly thereafter the incident. So if you get an urge or, and you're thinking in your head, because again, it's a head game.
Right.
It's all about what you think of and controlling your thoughts, okay? That's where it begins. The battle is in the mind, okay? So if you're thinking about, let's say, cheesecake. Again, I'm going back to the cheesecake. Again, cheesecake, if that is something comforting for you, and let's say you had an incident or a confrontation on the job, let's just use this as an example, and then all of a sudden, even though you just ate lunch, on the job, you're thinking about, oh, when I get home or on the way home, I'm getting this cheesecake or whatever. That's emotional because you're doing it, you're thinking about it, you're contemplating it right after you had the confrontation with your coworker.
Right. I mean, granted, it prevents you from catching a charge and stuff. But at the same time, you still hate yourself because you don't put on all this extra weight. So you have to find different ways to channel that emotion. Not with food, not with violence. Try writing poetry. Try dancing. Try exercising. There's other ways that you can eliminate them.
Prayer works.
Prayer, yes. Prayer works. Meditating, whatever is your thing. But, just try to make sure that you're healthy 100% of the time because without you, nothing can be handled. This is our empowerment tip for today. You will always have critics. Learn to deal with that situation with self-reflection, self-improvement. Learn to curb your negative thoughts. When you think negatively, you start doing negatively, and you start seeing things as if they are not, due to a delusion. Be positive. Positively rules the world.
When dealing with negative thoughts and emotions, one of the things I do is a mental shift. If someone come at me or I had a bad day, things not going right, what I do, I take a pause.
Yes, I get quiet.
Yeah, because I know through experience, I don't know how other people, it works with them, but with me, through experience, I know if I just don't react and take a pause for 5 minutes and move on to what I was doing before the incident, all of a sudden I realized, 10 minutes later, whatever, I didn't even think about this is a non-issue.
Right, exactly.
So that's the number one thing that's always helped me out. If I just don't react and pause for 5 minutes, because I know that this too will pass. It'll pass. And believe you me, if somebody comes to me the next day and asks, well, what about this? Oh, child, I forgot all about that. And you had to remind me.
Right. Exactly.
So that's my main tip, a tool that I use for dealing with negative thoughts, negative situations, and emotions. I take a pause and I move on.
Or you can do a countdown. Countdown from 20, 30. Just count it down. So as you're counting down, you're slowly calming yourself down. Because not every situation deserves a reaction. People are out there to kill your happiness. People are out there to take your bag. People are out there to make sure that they over trump you. So not every situation is a reaction. You have to know when to pop off and when not to pop off. And even though the circumstance warrants it, you also gotta look at your environment. You can't pop off at work, and so, or you won't have a job. So easy peasy, but there are ways to address the situation without allowing it to escalate. You can write a letter, you can pull so and so to a side. Hey, I just want to speak to you, and please don't start off with this, I don't mean any disrespect, or I don't mean disrespectful, because that means that you're about to get disrespectful. And so they're automatically going to be on defense. So don't start your conversation off like that.
Again, I don't react, but when needed, you address the criticism and be truthful, be honest with yourself first. Don't react to no one. Anyone in front of you, they don't even deserve that time. The time that who deserve the time is you with that criticism, whether it's a positive feedback, constructive criticism, or even a negative criticism. You react with that criticism. Be truthful with yourself and be honest, and deal with the criticism itself with yourself.
Right.
Then, if needed, then you can address it with the other person. But most of the time it's not needed. Most of the time it's for you, how you deal with it. You can, and like I said, it can be negative or positive, and you have wisdom. You can take what's good and take what's bad. And again, just the key thing is just to be honest with yourself, be truthful with yourself. And again, after that, take a pause and move on.
Exactly. You're a queen. You're a king. Never remove your crown and step down to a peasant. This is our empowerment tip for today.
I've had this problem.
Big problem.
I really needed
A good mortgage broker.
And I kept searching.
and searching.
There are so many choices.
It's really hard to find one that has all the things on my list.
But I finally did it.
Yes. Thank you.
If you are looking for one as well,
Look no further.
Here's a really good one.
Just use mine.
Use mine.
I'm very satisfied.
Definitely recommend.
Problem gone.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about loans. When you're searching for a house, figuring out how much house you can afford. Okay, so it's just a matter of going over all of your information and just seeing what you and your spouse can comfortably do without going into debt. Let's begin. You first need to start with reviewing your budget.
Yes.
Go over your income and your expenses, trying to figure out
The debt to income ratio.
again what you and your spouse can do each month. Include all of your revenue streams, your alimony, your investment portfolio, when the both of you income come in.
Don't put child support in there because that's not guaranteed.
Well, it depends on the history.
Well, yeah, that
I would
does.
say if you have documented history and you have, the non-custodial parent, if they're, pretty much good on paying, they say consecutive 3 years of, payments, then I say you're good, use it. But if it's hit and miss, novel. Do not rely on that. And again, you have to verify consecutive payments anyway to count it. So, as far as qualify for a mortgage, for your debt to income ratio, you would need 43% your debt to income ratio, meaning your debt is only 43% of your income. That's just to qualify for a mortgage. However, financial advisors recommend the 28-36 rule.
Right.
And that is when
You're taking 28% of your income against 38% of your bills, your expenses. So financial advisors do recommend that you only take 28% of your income out of your household and you put that towards your mortgage. So anything over that, they don't recommend it because you still have to pay your bills. you shouldn't put all your money in one nest. You shouldn't put all your money, your savings, your dreams, saving into this home. So that's why they recommended 28% of your income goes towards your dream house against 38% of your debt ratio.
And then also you want to consider, as far as your debt, you want to consider everything that's recurring, like your recurring vendor accounts, your recurring credit card accounts, your recurring student loans. All of that need to be, those are considered expenses, especially if it show up on your credit report. So you have to calculate all of that as its expenses, and then you put that against your income, just to see what you can afford for a house. And then also, when you're considering as far as what your monthly payment is going to be, make sure you calculate. I'm sure your loan officer will help you figure it out, but make sure you calculate or anticipate property taxes.
Oh yeah, HOA fees.
And homeowners insurance.
Yes, homeowners insurance, HOA fees, property taxes. Because what will happen is, if you don't have an escrow account, you are responsible to be paying your taxes on your own. So if you don't calculate that, then, but I think you will still have an escrow. You need an escrow. You'll automatically be put in an escrow account if you don't have at least 20% down payment on the home, because they have to have, oh no, that's PMI insurance, right?
Private mortgage insurance.
Right, that's private mortgage insurance. So you'll automatically be putting additional private mortgage insurance. So they'll make sure they get their money back if you don't put at least 20% of the total cost of your mortgage down when you apply for the home. And then after you got like 80% worth of it, then they'll, you can request to have it dropped, or automatically drop on its own.
Now, going to your credit score, this is one thing we were talking about, like on the previous show. We were talking about cleaning up your credit report before you apply for the mortgage. So, and not during the process. So during the process, you don't want to touch anything once you get approved, okay? So what you want to do is, here is the time to clean up your credit, is before you even apply. This is the planning stage. You and your spouse need to sit down at least a year or two, 12 to 24 months prior to you want to buy. Your forecasting and your goal setting and all of that. So you want to go over your credit score, and the first thing you want to do is look at all of your old collection accounts. You want to see what is, near to the statute of limitations, whatever state you're in, whether it's 5 and 6 years or what have you, 7, what have you. And you want to start disputing those accounts, because it's about to fall off, but you still don't want it to show up. And 9 times out of 10, if it's almost to the statute of limitation, those credit, and if they're not calling you every day, it probably will go off when you dispute it, because if they're not paying too much attention to call you every day, and it's this close to the statute of limitation, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to answer your dispute.
Right. Or you might have them on block and you forgot that you had them on block, but that's okay. Either way it goes, they're not contacting you.
But be consistent, dispute it with all credit reporting agencies, and do it every 30 days. Because like I said, some won't even bother, because again, if they're not calling you and actively collecting on it, then they probably won't even respond to your dispute. But just in case, some are diligent, every 30 days you dispute it, because it's a timetable that every 30 days, even if it's the same dispute, if they disregard, they may disregard it. I have seen it done before, saying that, well, we already responded to them, blah, blah, blah. And then, 90 days later, it drops off because they didn't respond to your last dispute. Okay? And I have seen that happen. In fact, that happened with one of my accounts 10 years ago. So if you're consistent, the first time they answer back or whatever, and then another 30 days roll by, they didn't answer, but I didn't even pay attention. I think it was like a couple months down the road, and I did it again, and they didn't respond, because I guess they figured they already responded to the credit report agencies, and it dropped off. And my credit score went up like 10 points. So I was like, okay, hey. I figured it out. But I mean, I just want to put it in plug. I have a friend. Just hit me up at TamiaBrinson.com. If you want to work on your credit score, because I have a friend that I do work with. We do seminars and everything, and I can refer you if you want to work on your credit. And then also, the reason this is important is because when you're planning to buy a house and get your loan straight, you want to try to get the lowest interest rate that you can get.
Yeah, you don't want to be paying more in interest rate than you pay your mortgage. At first, that's how it normally is going to be, but once you when you get closer to like paying it off or halfway off, you know, it should start dropping down. But you don't want to start up with like 22% interest rate. You'll never pay your mortgage down. You've been paying interest all this time. You might as well just get an interest only loan, you know, because that's what you pretty much been paying all this time is interest only. So yeah.
And then also, I mean, your credit score is so important because of the interest rate, but people don't know 0.5%, 1% is so much of that's thousands of dollars in difference. And I hear people say, you know, off the cuff, yeah, well, I can buy down, because you know you can buy down basis points on your interest rate. You can buy down the interest rate for, you know, 1 to 5 years or what have you. It'll be significantly more basis points that you have to pay down if you want to have a permanent buy down for your interest rate, so you can get a lower. But my thing is, why have to do that when you can automatically qualify for a lower interest rate with a good credit score? So work on your credit score and get that down first, and you'll automatically, instead of paying your money buying down, I mean, you might as well get a large down payment if you want to do that. Hello.
Right. Also, there's FSH loans. There's loans for veterans. That's the FSH, right?
VA.
There's VA loans. So if you are if you're in the military or retired military, you can qualify for a 0% military loan for your home. The government has assistance programs. You know, they'll help you with your down payment. They have like the criteria that they have, but if you fit the criteria and you go through whatever program that they have, they can assist you, first-time home buyers. There's a lot of things that you want to look into. So don't let your dream of owning a home deteriorate because you don't seem to have the down payment, because you all want to live the American dream, and that is to own, not rent, but own.
And also for an FHA loan, if you qualify for the FHA loan, the minimum down payment is 3.5%. But if you're a veteran and if you want to do a VA loan, there's no down payment required, like Tamika said. So that's something, give me a call. That's something that you probably want to, weigh your options. And if you need more information, hit me up at my website, TamiaBrinson.com.
Thank you for watching the Tamia and Tamika Show. And be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and our YouTube channel.